Hello and welcome yet again to another session here at the Gosu Academy. My name is Nato Safix and I'm one of the coaches here at the Gosu Academy. And I thought about what I wanted to do today. What I've come up with is I want to start revisiting some of the earlier sessions I did here at the Gosu Academy, because I imagine plenty of them. I've learned a bunch of new stuff, and also a lot of them will have some small meta changes, for example. So what I've come up with today is I think we should revisit how to play CT on Ancient. Probably some of you have watched my CT Ancient video that I did as one of the earliest sessions in the Gosu Academy. But since then, the way players play on CT has shifted a little bit. And so because of that, I think it's a good time to talk about it again. So what I did last time is the same that I'm going to do this time, which is I will be going through each role, starting from like the left side. So we do B, then B cave, we do mid, we do rotation, and then we do A. And I will not only talk to you about like what's the best spots and stuff like that, but I'll also talk to you about what kind of utility is kind of expected for you to throw, what kind of things is it worth knowing, any small little tricks that I have and stuff like that. So yeah, I think let's just get right into it, and let's just start with the B player. So anyone who has seen my Counter-Strike ladder session will know that as a B player on Ancient, you will want to use your utility at the start of the round to block the B rush. Now, one of the
Excuse me.
yeah, I am
I
not
have a
streaming on
feeling
Discord.
you're supposed to be screen sharing. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much for telling me. This isn't the
No
first time
problem.
this has happened, but thank you so much for telling me.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, that's good. Thank you. All right, but yeah, exactly. Now with screen sharing as well, as a B player on Ancient, if you've watched my Counter-Strike ladder video, or like you were here for the session, the main job at the start of rounds is just to block the B rush. And talking a little bit about the theory behind why we want to block the B rush early, basically every round, is because that is the easiest thing for the Ts to do. So as a T side, or basically just think about it logically, when you're playing T side, you will always want to do what's the easiest that will win you rounds. So if you can just B rush every single round, that's what you would do. If it's gonna work and win you rounds every single time, you will B rush every single time. So as a B player on CT Ancient, what you will want to be doing is you want to be blocking the Ts from rushing. And I remember specifically when I did this session, or at least when I did this on my own YouTube channel called the Face It Cheat Code, where I gave my best sort of advice for each map, specifically for Face It. I talked about how blocking the B rush effectively is so important. So some players will just do like a slow walk step, not like that, but maybe like this. This isn't even that great. I've seen people as well, they just come here and they try to land it here or bounce it off this. But what I see most people do is, I don't even really know the lineup myself, but people run to the left side and aim at a certain place, and you get a pretty consistent way of throwing the Molotov while running to the left. So already, what is the purpose of throwing this Molotov while running to the left? Anyone got any ideas? Why is it better than going and doing it like this?
It goes deeper because of how you're running,
Yeah,
I think.
and I think it doesn't necessarily go deeper. I mean, I think if I would press like W while I did it, then it would go pretty deep. But I think they land pretty much the same spot. So like this one lands basically top of the ramp, and if I would go and do it like with slow walking like this, it would land approximately the same. Yeah, you said you can throw it earlier?
Yeah, you can throw it earlier because otherwise you have to get a more direct trajectory.
Yeah, I would agree with that. So obviously against the B rush, you will ideally want to have your weapon out ASAP, and also it's almost not that important when the Molotov lands. It just needs to land early enough that the Ts are feeling blocked by it. I think the other big reason why a lot of players will do this is because, and this is one of the things that's changed since we talked about Ancient last time, is that as B player, it's become extremely meta to play left side. Well, probably when I talked about it last time, people were playing, a lot around pillar and also playing like copy, and then sometimes playing long or sometimes playing short. Now it has become really, really meta to play left side B. So like we will molo, and then you will keep running over here. That way, if the T's rush, you have already set up a sort of crossfire, right? With your cave player. So if they turn off the molo, they rush up, they will have to deal with someone right side and someone left side. Instead of you being in the short area, you molotov, now your pillar, and then as you're trying to fight, your cave player has to fight from the same area. It's just more, I guess, inconvenient as a CT, and it's easier for the T side to win this type of round. So what I also mentioned that was really important was how to block B-Rush effectively. And I want to just touch on that again. So basically, one of the number one things I used to lose to on Ancient, times have changed a little bit, but I'm sure at the lower elos that will still be the case. If you want to like fully heavy block a B-Rush, you would do the Molotov, and then you would either come short or long, whatever, and you will nade inside the Molotov. The reason for this is so that if T's decide to turn off the Molotov, they are going to take a lot of damage from the nade. The smoke is potentially going to blow open, and also the T's are going to be slowed down. So if you manage to kill the first and maybe the second player by doing this heavy block when they rush, you've pretty much won the round already. So back when I made my last session, I was losing a lot to B players not understanding how to block B-Rush, which isn't that difficult. But a lot of people thought back then at my elo that just doing the Molotov is enough. But realistically, T's just do this and run up anyway. And that's why if you think it's going to be a B-Rush, you should definitely use a nade in the Molotov as well, in my opinion. And if you don't think it's a B-Rush, like if you have a good feeling they haven't B-Rushed at all, I've been Molotoving every round, you can sometimes choose to not use your Molotov and instead just, run long. That way you have your Molotov for late instead. So that's a little bit about how to kind of start out the round as a B player. I think I will now talk about what is the advantage of playing left side, because there's more advantages to it than just the fact that you're making life harder for a cave player to come out and help. That's one thing, but there's other things to it as well, and we can talk about what why the difference in meta happened, and why CTs have decided that this is like the stronger way of playing the B side. So one of the good things about playing B long is that it's possible for you to do like info jumps. This is a really pretty safe way to get information. The only way you can die by doing this probably is if the T side has an AWP who is peeking you here, or I think actually there is a tiny angle here where they can see you. It's also possible to jump up on the box. It's a little bit tricky, but if you crouch here, there's also an angle. It's very hard as T to kill the jump spotting player like this, even with an AWP. So probably the best way would be going here or getting boosted up on the box and then peeking the jump. But even then, you can definitely miss the shot. And what the B player then will ideally do is, you're jumping. If you see the AWP there, you just flash over, or maybe if you still have your nade, you just nade on top of the box to kind of force the AWP to either jump off the box or take big damage. Another great thing about playing left side is that when you're playing right side, not only can you get spammed, but also if you want to smoke or Molotov, it's like when you smoke, you're pretty trapped. And also, it's difficult for you to get early information. This is kind of fixed by playing left side. Again, if you jump spot whatever, you can jump spot with smoke. It's almost like playing B on Mirage. And when you see someone, all you have to do is just do this kind of smoke. Now you have a smoke that lands pretty much perfectly here. You can obviously do the same thing with the Molotov, like you jump spot. and when you get contact, you Molotov, and this will allow you to hang on to your utility for longer and only use it when it's really necessary. Another reason why playing left side is really nice is because it allows you actually to fight the T side if you want to. So you can jump spot, jump spot, jump spot, and you can even bounce a flash and peek with the flash. I'll show you how the flash looks like for the T side. It just kind of appears out of thin air. Obviously they can see it when it's, you know, moving across here the other way. But still, this works even at the pro level. I can tell you that. I've tried it myself. So just playing left side, talking about why it's better. First of all, it makes it more easy for your cave player to come out and also have impact. It also allows you to play information better. And it also allows you to use your utility at the sort of right timings because you play the information, and it also allows you really easily to get your grenades out in a safe manner. So that's some of the advantages with playing left side. Talking about the disadvantages is that when you're playing left side, there is kind of only one place you can play. And it does open you up to being sort of predictable if you play like the long side every time. One of the best things I like to do when I'm playing T side is to, you know, you can even jump in for yourself as T. If you see the CT jumping, just nade up here. Or maybe even with a slow walk, depends a little bit. Like this would be a good grenade, for example, so that the B player who jump spots, you get information on him, he gets information on you. None of you can really kill each other, but you can use a nade to damage. And you can obviously do this with multiple players, technically. You could have one person jump spotting and have people do a double nade here. Probably good to have a proper lineup. But this is kind of a problem of playing left side, is that it allows you to get early information, but it also isn't that many places you can go. You can obviously play here and like anywhere here, but yeah, you are somewhat predictable. Very recently as well, we saw Tyloo do the triple boost here, where you have like one person crouched, someone jumps on top, and then you do like triple boost, where with this triple boost you can actually see, I don't think you're that high up, but it's something like this. You can actually see the long player, and the triple boost is, the purpose of it is to kill the long player. And again, if you are a B player who always plays long, that does become pretty, pretty expected at some point. So it is good to change it up sometimes, but it's become super meta to play left side. Okay, playing pillar, I talked about already, you can get spammed. Playing cubby as well is almost a better position for the cave player, because the cave player can go here and be kind of unexpected. If the T's want to run down the long player thinking that the cave player is forward in cave, you know, they're opening their backs up to the player in cubby. And this can be a crossfire. You can also play crossfire from inside cave like this, where you're kind of holding each other's push. So yeah, it's a way to kind of promote team play without necessarily having perfect communication with your teammate, simply just by playing left side instead. So that's one of the things that's definitely changed. Okay, I think that kind of covers the position. I would say the sort of basic understanding of how to play Beyond Ancient, and also a little bit extra. I'll just show you a couple of things which I think are kind of neat, and then I think we will talk quickly about responsibilities in this position as well. If you don't know, there is this position. My team calls it crat, like the player. If you're crouched here, I'll try to show you. I mean, you will get an angle on this rock. And the reason why this is kind of works as an off angle is because as T, when you come up, you peek this, maybe you're aware of long, whatever. And at some point, you're gonna turn to peek cubby. And when you do this and put your back up on this wall, then you open yourself to this crad angle where you can now get killed. It's not the easiest position to get out of, but it can work as an off angle late round potentially. And it is a position where it is kind of possible to multi-kill, because you can, kill someone. You can actually hide a little bit behind the wall. In a pro team or in high elo games, people rotating over will be good at offering flashes in the back like this. And then, if you chill, wait for the flash, you peek with it again, you could probably multi-kill. That's something that's kind of neat. I'll show you a aggro move as well that I had someone do against me in a Faceit recently, which I thought was kind of interesting and actually is pretty strong. So instead of doing the Molotov lineup like this, you come over and you do the Molotov like that. So on purpose you throw it a little deeper, and with the CT incendiary you can actually move down banana. So for anyone who is in the B doors, they're going to see like a Molotov that gets thrown, which looks like this. And then as they're trying to like focus towards heaven or talking about what nades or what they want to do, then they just get peeked by a CT who just peeks the doors, and you can leave. Or if you don't see anyone in the doors, you can just contact down and you have like instantaneous flank on the B players. Super unexpected. It's honestly a really nice move. Worth trying in your own Faceit games, in my opinion. Okay, good. That was a little bit of the extras. Actually, I have a little bit more. I don't know the exact lineups anymore. I know my team does them, but there are lineups where you can stand whatever somewhere here, and then you can like use this, I think, to hit the right side of the door and have it land as a door smoke. And from here, then you can still like, there probably even is a lineup. I remember, at least I looked into this before, where you actually do like a wood Molotov that lands, but it also allows you to just quickly line up, do the smoke, and then you can flash for cave, or you can flash down ramp, whatever. A budget version of this, which is super easy to remember, is you can go up here and you can aim. Let me check. Is it here? Yes. So you aim at the top of the green here. I call it a budget version because I guess even a little bit above is better. It's a little bit of a budget version because it does give the T some space to play around the smoke. But because the way you throw it, it gets like lodged into the corner of the door and lands pretty fast. And then you can follow up with this flash as well. Right here, I believe. And this flash is pretty good because imagine the smoke comes, the T's turn around, they're thinking, oh no, maybe they're pushing ramp, and then this flash comes and you can have, another player swing off this and peek. That's kind of nice to know. I think another piece of utility that can be nice, I do it just kind of on feeling, but just go on the back wall, aim basically around here. Okay, maybe not. Like, maybe good if you don't have a set lineup, just get a feel for how the cave looks, like step to the side. And then just aim around here. This would be like a good flash to check cave. So if your cave player has lost control of cave, has moved out here, you can offer this flash to get them back into cave. And it's really good late round, especially. Yeah, I think that was kind of it. So when we talk about responsibilities, your number one responsibility is block the B-rush. It is also, if, like, how can I explain this actually? As a B player, it can be really good to ask your cave player to push ramp with you if you have the feeling that the T's are trying to end the round on mid and A. Like, if you are feeling uncomfortable, or if you're feeling like you need information to win the round, walk pushing ramp can be really, really good. And since you're the one who has information on what's happening on ramp, how many times they've been peeking and stuff like this, it's worth it to be the one calling it, basically. So I would say that's also kind of your responsibility, but it is higher level. So yeah, that's worth to think about if you want to get really good at playing B. And then I guess just the last thing is like when they come B, if you're playing info from long, whatever, be good at blocking with nades. Like probably if you see them, you do this smoke, they're gonna run through it. Use the smoke and be ready to fight the first guy. If you kill that guy, maybe you can hold the smoke. Stuff like that. Yes, okay. A lot to talk about with B. I think there will be a lot less to talk about with cave. But yeah, let's just get straight into it. So for the cave player, I don't actually know the perfect lineups because I haven't played cave at all in Pugs. But I'll show you where they're supposed to land, and I will give it a go. So what is meta right now is that cave players Molotov here, and then they nade as well. This was probably the meta as well when I made the other video, which was probably by now like almost a year ago. Back then, the way cave players would kind of Molotov would be, I guess maybe the Molotov would be kind of the same, like a double click running jump throw. Oh, I did actually land it. And then after doing like this running W, like double click, I mean, you would nade and make it so that it just barely made it over here. So like I would just slow walk and then throw the nade. That way you would kind of nade on the Molotov. What's good about this, and I've talked about this in the past, is that as cave player, this nade is so important because A, it blocks the T's from taking cave fast. Like it kind of is the word decentivizes it? I think so. Either way, it makes the T's not really want to take cave because every time they try, they're just gonna get a nade in their face. It's gonna damage them like 40. But the more important part of it is actually that this nade slows down the T's. And the timing of the cave player is really important because if you're running cave, you can, with the nade, go and win this angle, or you can get into left side cave. If you don't have front spawn, and the T's have front spawn, without the nade, you won't be able to do this. I think actually, now that I think about it, probably in the other ancient video, I was just talking about as cave player, you should just nade while running. Then you should come over here, and you should just Molotov like this, and kind of hold the Molotov if you could. And then afterwards you can smoke, and you can spam and stuff like that. That was kind of what was meta before. Now, as I said, like, doing this Molotov is meta, basically every round. And then players now nade a little later, but they bounce it off like this, so that it lands lower and also hits the timing better. So before, right, it would be like this and then almost like a slow walk because you didn't want the nade to hit the back wall and jump back, whatever. But now people can do it basically in one motion. You just run and you just do nade. And then you can like come here. If you know the T's didn't turn off the Molotov, there is no chance that they can be cave because running into the Molotov and eating this nade will kill them. So it's only if they use a smoke that they can even contest cave. And that's why it's so meta, basically. But one thing that's definitely also changed about playing cave now is that for the T side now, we have adopted the Brawler Molo, which is, as you hit this door, you aim here and you jump throw. This one goes through the roof and lands in cave. And it lands on a timing where, as a cave player, you are forced to make the decision of, do I burn a little bit and run through it, or do I give it up? And this is interesting for the same reasons, basically, that the cave player's utility is meta. If the T doesn't turn off the Molotov, the CT cave player knows the T didn't contest cave. And with the Brawler Molotov, if the CT didn't turn off the Molotov and they didn't burn, they basically cannot be inside cave. That means you can take it for free. So for people who don't know as CT how to play against the Brawler Molotov, it's really easy as T to use this Molotov to just get the space for free. And that's something that now, as a CT cave player, you need to understand how to play against it. I don't think there really is a thing that works every time, right? There isn't just one answer to this. So I'll show you a few things that I've seen cave players do. One of them is that, they will still do the Molotov and the nade, but then as they're coming out here, they will bounce a flash like this. And the idea of this is that the timing when the T runs up cave, the flash will bounce and land right here. So if they want to peek really quickly, then they are going to be flashed, and the CT, even running through the Brolin Molotov, will kind of be running here and will then get like immediate flash in the back and will fight the T. So now there's a hard question. Why doesn't the T just dodge the flash?
Timing.
Yeah, it's a little more than that. It is kind of not really something that comes into play very often, so it is a very hard question. And it relates to utility that the cave player has already thrown.
Assuming that CT is blind.
Well, I think that the answer I'm kind of looking for is that when the cave player throws this nade, which, makes it harder for the T to take cave fast, if the T disrespects the Molotov, turns it off, and takes some nade damage, typically the nade makes it so the T loses sound for a little while. And so it can be really difficult for the T to hear the CT bounce this flash off the wall. So if the T is running full crazy, turning off the Molo, taking nade damage now, and running in here and peeking, a lot of the time as T, you don't even hear that the flash gets thrown, and that's why it works. Without the HE, it probably wouldn't work, because the T would just dodge it, or expect it. But in this case, because the T got naded on the way, then the flash works, and if the T didn't get naded on the way, it means the T won't be here on time anyway, and then you will anyway have cave as CT, kind of. That's one thing that people do. Another thing is also just, some people run through the Brawl and Molotov, play left side, but typically they are hurt, and it doesn't end well. Another thing that I haven't seen any pros actually do, but is a possibility, is you can go and just underhand click a smoke here. And with this, the Brawler Molotov will, if it burns, will be able to be like edged, right? So for any new players who don't know what edging is in Counter-Strike, it is basically when you play the sort of edge of a smoke when there's also a Molotov burning. So if I'm standing close to the smoke, this Molotov can never burn me. If I move out, then it can. So this smoke allows me to stand inside the cave opening and hold anyone trying to take cave. And it is a risk, right? Because you're using your smoke early with the idea that you're hoping you can get a kill on the T who's running across. And I think that's why not that many people do it. But it can be a counter, especially if you start here with AWP. You can do the smoke, come here, take angle, get a kill, fall back. And then the smoke kind of, doesn't really come that much into play, but it's a way to get an opening kill or do something unexpected. Other than this, I realistically don't think there's that much to say about the, let's call it the modern cave flare. Back in the day, I touched on it briefly earlier. When Ancient just came out, Rain was famous for like smoking out in this space or smoking here or whatever, and then just almost sitting the whole round and spamming like all these angles like down towards this box or spamming like in the door, because these walls are very spammable, and with the smoke up you don't really have to worry about a T pushing through. That was at least the idea. But now, with the Brawler and Molotov and everything, it's much rarer that a CT is able to just chill inside cave and spam these angles at the high level. So we barely see any cave spamming anymore. Also because just overall, T sides have been better at denying area here. So like, now everyone Molotovs heaven basically. the cave player can't just have a player heaven who is holding the smoke for him, whatever. And so yeah, the modern cave player, the impact is probably coming from using utility to block, and playing, I would say, more like back here, jiggling, or getting good at calling setups, or yeah, I think the cave player is overall spending less time out here. The only times you will really be spending a lot of time here is when you have people in heaven that are fighting with you. And yeah, that can give its own problems, but we won't be talking about that today. So yeah, I haven't played that much cave. I don't actually remember. It's probably like more than 6 months since the last time I played cave in a pug, maybe even more than a year. So it's possible there is more to say here. Obviously, I am a professional coach for one of the best women's team in the world. And we have a cave player who had massive impact, a year ago. And I'm not saying that Kiara, our cave player, doesn't have massive impact still. But the impact is just less out in this space and more towards the B side. So, yeah, what can you do as cave player? I guess it's just more like in a way, like an information game. You can also, get good at calling for flashes from your B player. Also, if people are going up ramp, let's say the B player is smoked, but the T's are still going up, like, just flashing on this wall and going out, either side, is good. Because it will blind the T's in a way where they can't really dodge it if they want to hold you. And it's just such a simple thing to do. Yeah, besides this, I really don't think there is that much to say about cave. There is one thing I will show you, which I think none of you know, and I think it's in general very few people who know this, because I only recently learned about this less than a week ago. If you go up here and you line this up, so you don't see like these rocks, you're standing like this, you can actually hold a sort of off angle where this wall will show you when the T's are entering cave. I'll prove it to you. So it's this light. Just look at this wall. As I'm moving over here and I'm peeking, you will see like my shadow is illuminated kind of on this wall. So if you're playing this off angle, you won't be peaked by the T's yet. And you will see something flickering here, which means that someone has entered cave. This allows you then, with this off angle, that when the T, let's even say the T clears this close angle, then they clear like this, you will be able to see by the shadow when they get close. And then you can actually just like backpedal slightly. So like now you see the weapon or you see the shadow, you just go out, you kill them. And then you could potentially block here with smoke. Kind of cool trick. Is it gonna make or break you as a cave player? Definitely not. But yeah, the modern cave player, pretty simple role. I might be wrong. I haven't played that much cave, but this is my take on it, and from what I see in pro games as well. They used to have like the most impactful role, now not so much. But yeah, moving over to the mid player. This is definitely a player who has become very impactful. Probably was also a year ago, but has become much more important in the current meta. And yeah, we can talk about what kind of utility is worth it to have in mid. So there are 5 spawns on CT Ancient. Each of them have a spawn lineup. The easiest one is around here, where you just aim at the top of this like box, you slow walk until you hit the bottom, and then you smoke. This probably will fail because I wasn't standing the exact spot, but you get the idea. I will definitely recommend anyone who is serious about improving in Counter-Strike learn all 5 CT spawn lineups. Even if you're a B player or whatever, you never know when your mid players and your A players, whatever, want to do something aggressive, and because of that it can be good to just throw the smoke and get dropped an extra smoke. Means you will be like 1 second late on B, but it realistically doesn't matter all that much. Another important piece of utility to know is this Molotov, where you run out here, you take like the step up, and then a little bit above this corner, I'll show you, I'm gonna aim on the corner. Okay, it did actually work now, but it can't be a lot below the corner, and it will fail. Let me just hopefully prove my point. So here, for example, it failed. I, to be safe, always try to aim slightly above the corner. That way I find it doesn't really fail. And when is this Molotov good? It's good when you don't when you don't smoke deep mid. Then you do like the double Molotake. So one will do this Molotov and one will do Molotov here. And you kind of have everything Molotov here. So for the T's it's difficult. Touching briefly on why this would be good is because if you smoke deep mid as CT every time, the T's can, go out, turn off the other Molotov and run out, basically. But then again, if you do the double Molotov take, the reason why CTs don't do this every round is because T's can again do this like edging trick, where if you do this Molotov, you can just stand behind it and kill people here. So yeah, it's a little bit of a cat and mouse. Like, you need to switch it up a little bit from time to time so the T's doesn't know the perfect counter, in my opinion. Another thing as well is that it's very normal to heavy block the mid rush, because it's one of the easiest things to do on Ancient together with B rush. We talked about this again in the Counter-Strike ladder video, and this means that even if you have deep mid smoke, whatever, and you do Molotov here, typically there will be like 2 mid players that start. Either it will be the mid plus A player. We'll get more into this when we talk about the A player. Otherwise, it's probably the mid plus rotation player. Like, when I say rotation player, I'm talking about the AWP player. So you will do like both Molotovs, or even if you do smoke, whatever, people basically always double nade here. Some people choose to, with the spawn, go out and do like this nade. It lands closer to this corner, which means if it's like a Mach-10 rush, you will catch them when they try to run donut this way. But if it's like an AK rush, they're probably running more on the back wall, and then the other nade is better. It's, yeah, a little bit random. It's kind of, I guess, reading the economy, understanding what are the opponents capable of doing. But double nading here is at least very common, and yeah, it's just a good thing to know. There are some people as well who do like, they molo, they nade, and then they even throw a flash left side. That way, if someone goes through the whatever and does like an etching trick, or maybe there's a gap behind the molo, whatever, that they're standing there, they will eat this flash and you can kill them for free. Not necessary, but it can be done. The role of a mid player has, I guess, a lot to do with blocking early, but it has way more to do with what you do in the mid round. So there's a lot to talk about here, but before we get into that, I want to just touch on, I had a talk with Threat, who is, well, a little bit of a legend in Counter-Strike, at least in my opinion. He is the general manager currently of NIP, where I work, and was the coach of NIP's main team on, I think, multiple occasions, and definitely for a few years there. We talked about what maps are the worst to play in, for example, an open qualifier or something where you're playing best of one. And there are just certain maps like where randomness is a much bigger part of the map because of certain areas. So a map like Nuke is one of the least random maps to play in a best of one, in our opinion at least, because the bad Nuke teams and the good Nuke teams, they have such a big spread, okay? If you're actually good on Nuke, you will basically never lose to a mixed team. You will basically never lose to a bad Nuke team. If you're good on a Nuke, you are legitimately way better on Nuke than majority of the teams. Then there are the maps like, let's say, Mirage and Ancient, and, Anubis, these kind of maps where everyone plays them a lot in Faceit, so everyone is quite good at them. And with Inferno specifically, that map is so dependent on if you get banana control or not, as both T and CT. But sometimes it can really be very random if you're winning the banana fight or not. Like, people die to straight up utility damage where they get no duels at all. And it can really come down to, reads and mind games and stuff like that. Whereas a map like Nuke comes a lot less down to reads and mind games, because it's just overall, even just the setting up of the round is way more difficult. I hope it makes sense what I'm saying. But at least what me and Thread we came to the conclusion of is that Ancient Mid is actually one of the most random areas of any map in Counter-Strike right now. Because as a T, if you want fast control, I talked about it already, the CTs are probably doing either smoke, molo, and double nade, or they do double molo, double nade. So if you want to take fast mid, you always have to turn off a Molotov, and then you have to go out into a double nade just to get a fight. And then, how do you make that ever good as T? Well, you use flashes, and these flashes, it's like, yeah, if they blind the CTs, as a T, you have a pretty decent chance. But if the CTs are dodging at the right timings and turn around on the right timings, then the CTs are going to kill you because you've just been double naded. It comes down really to milliseconds, and it can be incredibly random. So for the mid player, you just basically want to block the mid rush every round. That way, you make sure that you don't die to random bullshit, basically. And it's just worth knowing, because I find that sometimes I play Ancient in Faceit especially, where I feel like my opponents are very bad, but we are just losing the mid fight, the whole game. And it just feels kind of random. And I just want everyone to know, as a mid player or as a rotation player, whatever, there is also the option of not contesting mid at the start, like still doing the exact same utility, but then like just as CT jumping donut and playing from donut, or starting red room and spamming, or using your nade instead to break open the red room smoke, all these kind of things. There are ways where you can give T's early mid control and definitely still win. So don't sort of, what is this quote, like, insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. I think that's the quote. And some players in Faceit, they are full insane when I play with them on CT. Like, they will lose early mid fight 5 buy rounds in a row, and then they will go and try to do it again. You can win without winning the early mid fight. So don't just smash your head into a wall hoping for a different result. And that's, like, in my opinion, the most important thing to know as a mid player on Ancient. So I mentioned that a lot of the impact from a mid player is in the mid round, and it is because the early mid fight can be quite random, right? I would say majority of the time, as a CT, you will win the mid fight, the early mid fight, unless the Ts are all focused on winning the mid fight. Then you're probably going to lose it a lot. So it is a little bit about reading when the Ts are going to play for mid and when they're not going to play for mid. What a lot of people in Faceit choose to do is that, you know, with the smoke and the molo, whatever, if they get deep mid, they have like 2 rifles playing around here. One is holding the smoke, the other guy is climbing heaven and will start to peek towards B. This isn't really bad per se, because if you can control these 2 areas, you can basically hold all of mid, and you can hold all of B, basically. Which is kind of unique to Ancient. I can't come up with any other map where you can hold this much map control after 10 seconds. And that's why I think a lot of people think this control is so important. But yeah, if you've seen any of my previous sessions on Ancient, or talking about like strats, whatever, I have designed a strat specifically against this, what I call like the Faceit way of playing Ancient. And the issue is that when the mid player is here, the other mid player is here peeking B, it's kind of expected of the cave player to also push forward cave, so cave player can fight with the heaven player. And that is really annoying as T. The problem that it creates for the CTs is that if you just smoke this off, now the B player who is playing long, that we talked about earlier, is gonna be playing full alone, and the cave player is like forward and therefore a slow rotation back to B. I don't kind of want to give you more than that in this type of session. We've talked about this strat before. But that's another reason why playing this kind of facet style, where you're trying to like dominate mid and be from mid, it is good, and I understand why people do it, but it is very easy to counter as well. There's another hanging player, let's call it. Like someone who's alone on an island, and that's the A player. The A player will then either be starting with mid, because some people do that, or they will be playing, so then if they're starting mid, they will be donut, or they will be playing somewhere on A. And again, you can imagine if you have one guy here, the rotation to A is quite late. So while it is good and you can hold a ton of area, it opens you up to the extremities being really strong against you. And that's why I don't personally think it's at all good to do every single round, which is how a lot of people choose to play Faceit. So as a mid player, this is, in my opinion, the most important thing to understand is when to play this kind of Faceit style and when to play, even if you win with control, just kind of give it up, play passive. Okay, so as mid player, you have two really important jobs, which are one, give information if T's can be in red room. So if the T's can cross this angle by either smoking donut or flashing it, or if you've left it, you need to tell your team that T's can now go into red room. Super important. And your other responsibility is kind of blocking donut. You're almost like a donut player. One of the safest and best ways to do this is if you take out smoke, you can jiggle and hit your shoulder on this wall. It opens up just a slight gap here where you can get information. And because of the wall, you can't really fuck up your movement to the point where people used to do it like this. And sometimes you could like hold down D a little bit too long. You would get like a long outswing, whatever. And it could get you killed. But now that people are starting to use this wall, it's basically impossible to fuck up the movement. And it's basically impossible to die. So you just jiggle this, and when you get contact, you just smoke off donut. Then you say, now they can be red room. And then, yeah, that's like one of the best ways to play passive mid. Yes.
Nate, I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
What do you think about in the mid round about retaking mid? Let's say you started passive, or you took control, then you left, and then in the mid to late round you kind of want to look for info again.
Yeah.
So what do you think about it, and is there anything to know about this?
I think retaking mid, just straight off the bat, really good idea. I think it's something that's very difficult to do in a Faceit, but in a team game, it is a really, really important part of playing Ancient. Again, just talking some theory, since mid is so random and difficult for T's to take at the beginning, and how the mid players use so much utility at the beginning, this also means it's typically very easy to take mid for T's late. All you need is literally just one util set. You just do smoke red room. You do like jungle molo. Is it like that? No. So you just open yourself up a little bit. You just do molotov like that. Now I have a CT molotov and it landed a little bit unluckily. But imagine this is a T molotov. If you do this, you shouldn't be able to die. And then you've cleared out like right side. You've smoked red room. Now you can work on mid control. This is one of the easiest way to win in a team setting as T if the CTs are not good at retaking mid. How do you retake mid? There's a few different ways, but basically just gathering people, kind of letting the sides be weak for a little bit, and then gathering up. So like you could have the rotation / orb player together with maybe the cave player coming red room together, and then have the like mid player / donut player, whatever, peeking from donut. This player can, you know, jiggle jungle and clear it like this. The red room players can, you know, check. If they don't see anything, you can go out, you can clear red room, whatever, and then you can leave. Someone could be sitting behind a box but you basically have regained control of mid. It's really strong, but it requires a bit of coordination and willing teammates, because you can't really retake mid alone. It's too risky, especially if you know the T's have had mid control. So to answer your question, retaking mid is insanely good. It's so important for pro CS. It's less important for Faceit because all rounds are played out quicker. And so it is rare that you will play a lot against people who late take mid and stuff like that. But in Team CS, it's absolutely a necessity to have in your locker to win, I think.
Right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. I'm happy you asked. Okay, so we're already at 50 minutes of the session, and we have only gone through 3 positions, so I think I'll speed it up a little bit. I think the AWP and the A player is kind of less important to talk about, also because there isn't that much you can do. I'll show you this mid smoke. Actually, I have now spawn 4. And spawn 4 is down from this leaf. I go down to here. Then I slower until I hit, I think, the middle of this rock. Let's hope I don't fail it. That would be really awkward. Oh god. Okay, so imagine that I walked a little bit less, then it probably would have been there. So yeah, it would have looked maybe like this. To see if I can land it. Definitely yes. Okay, so it would have landed like this. As an AWP player and rotation player, this is the role I'm playing the most in Faceit. I'll talk pretty quickly about what you can do. So obviously you can start B. If they B rush, can be really good to play here or even play here. If they turn off the Molotov and they smoke it, you can kill the first. You can also start over here. It's kind of same thing. They will probably run in this lane when they smoke it, and you can get the first kill, maybe even a second. It can be good to start here as well with AWP if you know the other guys, like your opponents like to play AWP on T side, because if they boost on the box, you can crouch and just hold only that, and if they peek, you get a free kill. You can also do this like smoke trick I showed you in the corner, underhand and hold if they do brother model. You can also play AWP here. You can also, if they don't do brother model, you can just come here and peek. Other than this, I would say the most important thing that I probably do as rotation player is that I will be doing the smoke if I don't need my spawn. And then I will be coming over, and since I'm the one doing the smoke majority of the time, I will be just nading, and my teammate will be doing like the molo and the nade, because he's mid player, right? Yeah. So one thing I actually forgot to mention real quick is that for the mid player, the default setup is basically that, you know, you have your rotation player or your A player with you. So it can be good for the AWP, like the rotation player, sometimes to start A. I've also talked about this in previous sessions, so I won't touch on it too long, but basically, if you would never play AWP on A, contacting A would be so good for the Ts, because it's AK fights versus rifle, who's holding. In CS2, that's a recipe for disaster. That's why it's good in Team CS especially to have the AWP sometimes start on A, because that's the counter to A contact. If people contact against an AWP, the AWP kills them for free and can probably multi-kill. In Pugs, it's quite rare that Ts go A at all. So yeah, just worth knowing. But why that's important for the mid player is because since there are many rounds where Ts just don't go A at all on Ancient, a lot of teams, and also in Faceit, will have people start with 3 mid, so that you have a bigger likelihood of winning the mid fight. And then the A player, or whoever is close to A, can just rotate over to Donut and kind of pick up A. A is a site that's really easy to retake, kind of, especially if you can, like, get a kill, or it can be hard to plant here. You can delay for the rotations to come in from your teammates, stuff like this. So, yeah, just worth knowing. if you keep losing the mid fight as a T, and it feels like there's 3 here, maybe it's worth rushing A next round. Goes for both pugs and team CS. Yeah, so as AWP as well, I think one of the things I quite like doing, if we feel like we are losing mid control in the early rounds, sometimes I like to start with AWP in donut. The reason is, if you hold your crosshair down here, if someone peeks you, you know, you have a good chance of killing them. And if they peek you from up here, as you can see, the shadow will be showing before the player is showing. So as AWP, even if you're holding your crosshair down here, the shadow will be visible and you can actually adjust before the player peeks you and then kill them. By doing this, it's kind of like an upgraded version of jiggling with the smoke, because you're still getting the same information, you're still blocking donut the same, except people who try to walk towards red room will actually probably die, or you at least have the chance to kill them. And it allows you to play basically, you can start out by the mid player doing the mid utility, the AWP starts donut, and then the mid player can just leave. You play 3 on B, you kind of play 2 towards A, so you have an A player, you have the AWP and donut, and you still have red room information so long as they don't flash or smoke you. That's really, really strong, works really good in pugs where people are a little less careful. So, also worth knowing. Anything else for the rotation player in terms of how you can start with AWP and stuff? I don't really think there is all that much. There are definitely peaks you can go for, like, you know, if you have good movement, let's hope I do today, you can go and peek heaven like this. You can also, with a bit of more coordination, you can do run boost down the stairs. There's a million things you can do as AWP as well. You know, you can come play jungle with AWP, or yeah, I'm not gonna go through all the AWP peaks because it would be almost a session on its own. But at least now I've talked sort of about responsibilities, and just to sort of bring them up again. As rotation player, it makes a lot of sense for you to be the person smoking mid every time, unless you have somewhere you want to go. I showed obviously you can, you know, start by peeking cave aggressively, and you wouldn't be able to do this if you're also smoking mid. So then you need to ask someone else to do it. But your responsibility is basically just, if you don't have AWP, you can be the other mid fighter. You can also choose to, you know, play 3B and be one of the, like, be the extra guy. That's the benefit of being rotation. If you're having AWP, whatever, you can just come and you can do nades in mid and kind of tell your mid player, I can't really fight with you. You can also choose to start on A and have your 2 mid players fighting there. You can also choose to start on B and have 2 mid players and then leave A open, and, you know, there's many options. One thing I think is quite important, I mentioned this a little bit already in the session, but if you are anywhere red room, or if you are anywhere close to A, or if you started donut, whatever, and T's now go B, these flashes are so insanely important for your B players. They don't seem that great, but they are actually amazing. One of the best flashes in the game, in my opinion. Like, even though they only like blink, the further they get up, the more blind they get. And by flashing up here, you make it so your teammates can never get blind. So it's free for them to fight, and if you're good at calling the flashes, they know exactly when they're popping and when they have help. In another team, we even had, like, we had a call out for this. It was like backline flash or something, and we also had a call out for this one, which we call heroic flash. The difference of this one is that when T's are coming up, I mean, this one lands way more in their face, right? And the difference then again is that your teammates will have to dodge the heroic flash. But yeah, the heroic flash is definitely better for the cave player, because they can come out and fight with it up here. So yeah, that's one of the most important things I think as a rotation. If you want to be a really high level rotation player, I recommend learning also like there are some lineups. I mean, this is an easy one. You guys have maybe never seen, but you can smoke ramp like this. I even think I failed it a little bit. Let me see. I think it should bounce a bit more to the left. This sounds better. But it's supposed to land like more over here. There is also a double click lineup for cave, but I remember I fucked this up last time. Yeah, it's quite close. Something like this. Yeah, but there's one where it goes into cave. I'll show you 2 more cave lineups. As rotation, when you come over, you can go in this corner, you can aim here, you can run. Last moment, you jump throw. This one looks extremely cool, but the T's can block it. I'll show you a different lineup that no one uses yet, but maybe will at some point. Go into this corner, up from the middle of these 2, like directly up to the white part, and stand still and throw. This is like a new cave smoke I found recently, where it falls down through the window and no one can block it, and it's easier to throw, because it's a standing throw. You just throw it, and then, yeah, you move over, you can actually hold, basically. Okay, that, I think, kind of covers
Was that
the...
just with your right one? Your right click, your left click?
Yeah, exactly, it's just a standing throw. Normal standing throw. Up from this, up to the middle of the white part, and just normal standing. Really cool smoke.
Yes.
Yeah, so for the rotation player, this is kind of what you need to know. I mean, if you are rotating over to A, whatever, it can be good to throw flashes over side for your A player. Or if they're playing big box, it can be sometimes good to flash like in front of big box. As long as you let them know, so that they can, like, you know, take a fight, hide, flash comes, they can peek again. You'll probably never use this, but I just saw it in the video and I want to share it. You can go in here as well, aim here. You can do, or like hold A and then jump throw. You can actually Molotov the plant spot on A. Yeah, I don't know. Now you've seen it. And I think that kind of covers the role of rotation in the current meta. It hasn't really changed all that much. I think rotation roles in general don't change all that much. There's definitely other key pieces of utility you can learn and stuff like that, but I think for now, this kind of talks about the role of rotation. And that leads us to the 5th and final role, which is the role of the A player. We'll go ahead and buy an M4. So, last time we spoke about how to play A, I don't remember what I said, and I haven't rewatched the video, but I would imagine that I was talking about, like, oh, you can play, like, off angle here, you can play side, or you can play up on boost, like, you can jump up yourself by jumping up on this sign, and jumping up here, stuff like this. Maybe even, like, one of the things I kind of like sometimes when I'm playing A is that I kind of smoke A pretty early, and then I let it sit a little bit, like let it marinate, and then I nade it when they least expect it, and it can give you like a duel where you can kill someone and then they're still behind smoke. The current meta of A player is basically you don't have an A player in Pro CS. Like, the A player is starting mid more than they're starting A. And it again comes down to the fact that the role of the A player is, even if you start mid, you can always, when you get mid control, run back to Donut. If the T's are rushing, you can hear their footsteps from Donut. You can come out here and you can kind of fight them. I'll show you one cool thing. So I mean, yeah, one thing you can just do, this is kind of not it, but you can just bounce like a flash and fight with it. Something cool, because a lot of T's will smoke this and will try to plant on this corner. Something you can do is you can go here, you can line up like this, you can move over without moving your mouse, you can jump up here, you can shoot. Let's just wait until the smoke fades, but I'll prove to you guys that I'm aiming directly where the T would be planning, if I didn't mess up the lineup. So you can see the T would be planning here in the corner, and I would be spamming this. So you have a lineup spam for if they plant in that corner, which is the most normal plant spot if you don't have donut control. So as the A player, you can do a lot even if you're not A and they rush A, which is also quite unique. It's basically, I can't come up with any other map where you can leave a bomb site completely open at the start of the round, and if the T's rush it, the likelihood of you winning the round is probably still pretty 50-50. That's why A players traditionally don't really start A, at least in the current meta. And then how do teams sort of balance that? We talked about it earlier. What if the T's actually do A contact instead of rushing? Maybe they, peak the A player in a good way from Donut. They win a duel, and now they can plan kind of where they want. Well, the way they balance that to not make it predictable and not make it so people just A contact every round with like fake in mid and fake on me is that, let's say, half the buy rounds where the CTs have AWP, the AWP player is starting on A. And it's simply just to free up the mid players to focus on mid, and also make it so that if someone tries to get information or take a timing on A, they will just die. To go a few levels deeper, obviously at the professional level, teams are doing what's called anti-strat on each other, like match preparation, and they will see different things. So for my team, if I am doing anti-strat / preparation of an opponent that we're going to be playing, and I see the AWP is never starting on A, I would call let's go A contact a lot. And even if the team plays an A player every single round who's playing whatever off angle or taking fights or sitting in tempo on these ready angles, whatever, I know that we can go and either trade it out or like if I know the A player is playing, let's say, either tempo, big box or side, maybe we just A contact up to here, we flash tempo, at the same time we do mono here, and then we just run, basically. Then the A player is probably maximum going 1-for-1. And so that's why having the AWP starting on A sometimes is a really key part of the current meta puzzle of Ancient. So what could change this meta is actually a good question, because it has been the meta for quite a while now. I think if people would get better at throwing this smoke as T when they rush, this smoke goes inside Donut and it lands out here. And if then you rush A with big box flashes, you can go and fight this area, and yeah, you can kill the Donut guy, basically. If he's not there, maybe just Molotov behind the smoke. Now the CTs, even if they blitz the smoke, they will have a hard time of peeking, basically. But realistically, whenever something is meta, it's because it's working, right? And it's possible that we won't really see the meta shift as CT. We will always see meta shifts on individual positions, but the overall idea of having the AWP starting A sometimes and stuff like that, I don't think we will see shifting until the map gets a change. And I think most people agree that Ancient in the current state is, a very fun and enjoyable map to watch and play. So, yeah, hard to predict how the future looks, but I think this video will be good for probably all of 2025. And yeah, that was why I thought we should do this session today. Any questions?
Yeah, if you could show me the frags on the B one more time, that would be great, bro.
Yeah, absolutely. Like this one? Or what?
Okay. Where'd you place your crosshair? Because I see it's very light. I'm sorry.
I just aim for this rock. I think actually even some cave players, they aim for this rock. I'm not quite sure, but I find this nade to be really difficult. Like, it's something you want to practice.
Are you doing it running? It has to be running.
Yeah, exactly. So it's literally just, it's all in one motion. Like, you do this, then you come over, you do this, and then you run cave.
And both are with your left click, right?
The Molotov is double click jump throw.
Okay.
And then this is left click.
Okay.
But yeah, I would say definitely practice the HE. Like, when you used to do this, like, you just slow walk for 1 second and through it like that. That was basically impossible to fail. But this one, it's like, if you fail it, like I'll fail it on purpose, Like, this is obviously a shit nade. You can fail also like this, whatever. And then it's completely useless, and you can't even contest cave that well because they don't get that slowdown effect, right? So it's, yeah, it is not easy to throw under pressure in a match or whatever. And it definitely takes some getting used to. I don't think I've ever hit it this many times in a row as I'm doing right now, so I would say practice it, get a good feel for it. If it's too hard, I think you could do just like do this, and then it's kind of the same. Imagine I landed the Muller now,
Could
right?
you show me the smoke that you did for the cave? Like if you're coming out from CT.
This one or the other one?
No, not that one. The one that you did on the wall. I think you
Yeah.
were like pointing at the plant or something. Oh, there's that one,
here.
and
Oh,
there's
okay.
the
Like from here?
yeah. There's one that you do on the plant on the right. You did it like on the plant.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
actually, let me see. Is it like this maybe? Yeah, I think this one is the one basically. Yes, this one is the perfect one. Don't even know how I aimed, but it's this like white rock, and I guess maybe it's the dark spot. If you get it to land perfect, then it becomes really tall as well. And that actually matters more than you think, because if the T's boost now, they can't see over it. So it's
That was your
also,
left click.
it's a double click actually
Okay.
on the dark spot.
Did
And
you
yeah,
jump as well? Crouch
Yeah.
jump or
regular jump it is.
okay. Okay.
And the advantage of throwing it like this, because before I threw one that landed like, I mean, I'll just show it again. Before I threw something random because I didn't know the lineup like this. This is how you don't want your cave smoke to be, because now if someone is cave, he can use this as an opportunity to walk out to B side. He can play around the smoke in multiple ways. He can sit in the smoke. When you tap the bomb, he walks out this side and stuff like that. So definitely use this lineup, and then as you will see, hopefully it doesn't extend very far out. Now you can tell if he's out or not. You give him no space
Right.
to play.
That's epic, bro. That one's nice. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. And I'll just show this again for good measure. It's like 1, 2, 3, 4. It's like the smallest one here. Let me see. This is how it's supposed to land. So now you have like all this smoke, and also in a way where they can't boost over it. Small detail here. You can spam this for the bomb plant. And there is a way to do a double click from here. I don't know the lineup, but just imagine you do something like that. I mean, kind of like this. It's also impossible to boost over if you land it correct. This one didn't. But it makes it way more difficult to find the lineup to spam. Because if we just sit out the smoke real quick, there is this wall on the right, and there's also a wall on the left, and I'll show you the angle to spam the bomb plant is actually quite small. Like, this is the angle. So if there's smoke laying like this, it can be really difficult for you to find that angle. Like, basically impossible. That's why I personally prefer the deeper smoke than the close smoke. But because this lineup is so easy to throw and to remember, I think this one has its moments as well. Yes, okay. Any other questions, guys?
Thank you, man. This was great class.
Perfect. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Anyone else got
No,
anything?
seriously, I didn't think we'd learn so much about edging and how insane pace walls are.
Yeah, so much about edging, yeah. I'm a master edgelord. But yeah, no, definitely face players are insane. And I think by just being here at the session or watching the YouTube video, you're gonna understand a lot of the things that even 3,500 EU players don't understand. Like, literally, there's top 1,000 face players. I even think I remember this guy PR when he was on Mouse NXT. Now he's obviously for Gamer Legion, but I played with him not that long ago. He's obviously pretty young. I want to say 6 months ago or something like that, and I had this whole talk to him about whether or not you should play aggro mid every round, and his idea was you should play aggro mid every round, which the guy is playing in a really good team and is a big talent, and it's not to bring him down or something like that, because I also believe people have different opinions. But this is something I feel really strongly about, and where I think my maybe experience and the fact that I'm like 10 years older than him, maybe I have understood this, and this was like a case of a player from one of, if not the most revered academy team, not understanding this that can be explained, in my opinion, quite simply, which is if you fight aggressive mid every round, you're leaving A and B extremely weak. And I would hope that this is something. If it is like how I remember it, I would hope that this is something he has learned in Gamer Legion, and I would think he has. I hope that if I would ask him about it today, he would have a different opinion. But I recognize also there's the chance that I'm wrong, right? But I do feel pretty strongly about this, and as I said, I have a few tactics to fuck up this faced style of playing. I can tell you it works. So, but yeah, great guys. If you don't have any other questions, then I think we close the session here. If you want to request any future sessions, then you know where to find me. And yeah, other than that, thank you for coming, and I hope to see you again next time.
See you next week, bud. Have a good weekend.
Thank you. You too.